The share should be special for Shalema for Yosef Ben.
Do you want me to video record it?
Why not?
You want?
Oh, I'm saying. Try. Okay. All right, so B'kitzur, we left off last time, right at the end of the 7 days of the Bria, when the Eibishter made the Adam, the Eibishter made the person. Vayem lakim nasa Adam, b'tzalmei, kidmuseinu, v'yirdu b'dgei hayam, u'ba'if hashemayim, u'behemas. Now the truth is, it's very appropriate, it's time appropriate, we're going to try to tie it in to the Svira and what we're doing in the Svira. But the truth, today I would say we're focusing on who we are and what the chashivas are, and what the chashivas of a person is. A person has to know, we have to know who we are and what we are. There's a Maisa with Rav Moshe, who obviously was a big anav, and one time it was by a chasana, and some guy was talking to him and learning, and he was getting all worked up and started, getting very involved and yelling. So Rav Moshe looks at him, he says, "Du veis mit wem in der Reds?" You know who you're talking to? Meaning, all his anivas, he knew who he was. It's not a kunz. Anivas doesn't mean not to know who I am. I have to know who I am. And we have to know stam, what the chashivas of a person is. We live up to what we believe we are. So last time we spoke about Nasa Adam. We're going continuing v'yirdu b'dgei hayam. So Rashi tells us first the Eibishter made a Adam b'tzalmoi b'tfus shaloi. So the Sifsei Chama speaks out, of course, not b'tzalmoi of the Eibishter, b'tzalmoi of Adam, because like we've mentioned in the past, you're not allowed to believe that the Eibishter has a form, and the Eibishter has a tzalam. So we're talking about the tzalam of a person. Kidmuseinu lahavinu lahaskil. That means he made a person more than a behema, that we have the ability to understand and to be able to be maven davar mitach davar. And I think one of my favorite mashalim I once thought of was when they used to have the National Furniture Store. So he used to hire people to stand holding his signs. He used to drive by. Right, yeah. Yeah, he still owes me money, by the way. Anyway, B'kitzur, so he used to hire people to stand holding their signs. So I said, this is a mashal of misuse of a person. You have a ben adam, a bas of adam. He has the capability to accomplish, to do everything, and you're using him as a tree. Right? You could nail that sign into a tree.
No, he does it.
And he's...
I know he does that.
Why? It's cheaper than a nail.
No, they're not allowed to.
He doesn't do it. He pays the agency.
It's an agency. They're not allowed to put signs there.
But if you think about it, you have a person who has such capability in life, and what does he do? He's a tree. Imagine a guy buys himself a Ferrari, and he uses it to store his orange juice outside. It's a cold day, right? So you take something that has the ability to accomplish. You take an airplane. So taking a person and using them as a tree, the same thing is we have to understand on every level. We have the ability to be lahavin or lahaskil, to think, to use our brain, not just to go walk through life without it. So a person has to realize that's what the Eibishter created here. Adam, which was lahavin and lahaskil, v'yirdu b'dgei hayam, says Rashi, yesh b'loshen ridu, v'yesh b'loshen yirida. Yirdu could be either loshen of being on top of, we're bigger than, or ridu, where it's a lashon of yirida, where we're under. Zacha yirdu b'chayes u'behemas. if we are Zoicha, so then we rule over animals. Lo Zocha, Nasa, Yerida, Lefneim, V'chayis, Mimshalas Banu. And if we're not Zoicha, then we can be underneath the animals, and the animals rule over us. Now, just the klal is, whenever the higher person could go, the higher person can fall. Meaning, the more kedusha, sometimes we see Nebuch, a person goes down and they go lower than who knows what. Because the more kedusha and the more ability I have to go up, then when the person goes down, they go down even lower. Over here it's talking about who rules over who. If we're Zoicha, so we're ruling over the animals. And if not, the animals could rule over us. That's the different level. Now, what is Adam? The word Adam, so if most people think it comes from the Lashon Adama. Actually, the Balaturim on the next pasuk says, "Vayivra lekim esa Adam oisyos Adama." The word Adam is the same letters as Adama, which means the earth, the ground. When we say on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, Adam Yisoda Me'afa V'Soifer Lafa, which means that we're created, our base started from earth, and we're going to end up back again 6 feet under. Ubenafsha Yaveh Lachmai, and it's a Hesairus. People cry because we're thinking about that. What's our life all about? We're here on this world for a short time, and we start off earth and we end off earth. But that's not what the real shirish of the word. I mean, even though it's the same even though it's the same shirish as Adama, but that's not what it really is. Adama is the word Adam. So if you look in Rav Shamshon Fall Hirsch, I didn't bring it, so we can't say it inside, but he goes very much into the root of every word and the understanding of where it comes. And he says that the root of the word Adam is Hadoim Ragloi. It's not from the word of Adama, of earth, which means we share that with animals, and we're talking the same as animals. And the same way we're saying a tree holds a sign, so now a person could hold a sign. Over here we're saying no, it's Hadoim Ragloi. What's Hadoim? Hadoim, he says, is a footstool. When I want to be off the ground, I could put something on the ground, a footstool, and it lifts me up, and that reaches the ground for me. Meaning, I have to stand on the ground. But if I put a stool over here, I could stand on the stool, and I don't have to put my feet on the ground. So the way he's explaining is, B'Shchina HaKadoshah, which we're all, that the Eibishter was V'yipak V'apa Nishmas Chaim, which we're going to get to. The Eibishter blew into us, and everyone has a Chelek Elokayim Imal, and the Nefesh HaChaim says there's different levels to our neshama. Some of those levels aren't even within our guf, aren't even within our bodies. So over here also, the idea that we're the Hadoim Ragloi of the Eibishter. That means Hashem has to have His presence on this world, and instead of getting His feet kaviyachal, what that means is, instead of getting dirty or having to reach this world, He goes through us. We are His stepping stool, and we're on this world. It's like you have a guy has a business. He has different properties, and he doesn't fly to every property. He has a manager down in different places in the world, each one to each property, and then the manager could have somebody under him. So Kaviyachal, the same thing as the Eibishter, instead of having to come and walk around this world, we're His stepping stool. He walks on us. That's why we're a yarmulke, to remind ourselves that the Eibishter is on top of us. And we're His stepping stool, Kaviyachal, on this world. So that's a lashon of Adam. So Adam is not Adama anymore, which we share with animals. Adam means because we're like the bottom, Kaviyachal, we're the feet, we're the stepping stool for the Eibishter. Now the word behema, he says, is from a lashon of bima. From just like a bima is something you put something on top of. So the behema is there for us to be on top of. So the same thing we are for Hashem, the behema is for us. We're not equals with the behema fakert. Where we the same way the behema is there for us to use. So too the Eibush the Kaviyachal is reaching this world through us, and that gives a different new chashivas to who we are and what we are and the way we understand ourselves and the way we look at ourselves. So that's what Rashi's saying over here. That if we're Zoicha, we understand this. Now the pasuk goes weiter, Vayivra Elikim as Adam B'Tzalmai, B'Tzalam Elikim Bara Oisoi, Zachar Nekeva Bara Oisam. So Vayivra Elikim as Adam B'Tzalmai, B'Tfus Asaloi, he made a tvus, meaning every other nivra, everything that was created in the world was created by Amira. The Eibishter said, Amar Vayehi. The Eibishter said, and it happened. We, the Eibishter, actually handmade us. We're called Yegia Kapecha. We are the handwork of the Eibishter. So the same way we understand that, you buy something and they tell you there's a handmade watch or handmade whatever, this picture was handmade. What do we mean to say? It's not just something they mass produce. They handmade it. They did it, and it's done with precision. It's done much. So Adam, compared to everything else in the Bria, we were handmade. We were Yitzir Kappa of the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're handmade by the Eibishter, which is a much higher level, which we'll get into in the Psukim, how the Eibishter made us. The pasuk tells us. The pasuk says, but if we understand that, then we understand again the chashivas of what a person is, and it's important for a person to understand who he is and what his chashivas is. And the Eibishter made us kaviyachal handmade. B'tzalmai kimbara. Sorry, fine. The Eibishter made us fine. Zachar nekeva. That we said already, right? Zachar nekeva bara isam. Now that means that the Eibishter made us Zachar nekeva together, a man and a lady together. Now the Rashi asks a question: what do you mean the Eibishter made us Zachar nekeva together? We know that the Eibishter took Adam and he took out one of his bones, and through that bone he created Chava. Right? Etzem me'atzamai. The simple understanding is he created Adam first, Yechidi, and therefore afterwards he went and he created Chava. Now the truth is, if you think about this has a lot to do with the difference between men and women. I'll give you 100 examples. Start with one. Just give you one example for right now, maybe two. When, let's say, most men, when they get into a bad mood, what do they want? They want some space. They want to be alone. Most women, when they get into a bad mood, they want somebody to interact. Exactly. Where's that come from? What's pshat in that? Because a man that was created yichidi, so his life is his shirish is his. When he goes back to his root is yichidus. So right now, I have to get back to myself. I need to go into solitary. I have to go myself, and I have to now get back to myself. Now I get back to myself. A lady that her shirish was a chelik of etzam me'atzamai me'ni sheikh keme'isha lakach, as the pasuk says. The Eibishter took us from something, so that the Eibishter has. That it always needs his chabros. So when she gets into that matzav, to get out of that matzav, she needs that his chabros. Now that's part of the people's Nisayan and Shalom Bayis, because they just don't understand it. I'm in a bad mood. What are you talking to me for now? Now the reason is because she thinks that's what you want, because that's what she wants. Really, the big key to figuring out what your wife wants is watch what she offers you. That's really what she's looking for, right? When a person comes home, his wife's in a bad mood, he sneaks out, and later she has kindness. Where do you go? She's like, what do you mean? I gave you your space. I don't want space. Now, if you want to go, if you want to go deeper than that, why the Eibishter did it? It doesn't make. Chas Shalom doesn't make sense. Why is the Eibush to do that? Just make life simple. Make them want similar things, huh? Oh no, I'm not asking that. I was saying you have to. So why the Eibush to do that? Why the Eibush to do that? In other words, why aren't they able to make just that she feels the same way as I feel? And the truth is because the fact that a man, the male ego, needs to be needed. So the Eibishter makes that the Isha is somebody that needs. She's somebody who constantly needs. She needs his chabros, and that really helps me. Now, happens to be right now, I don't want to need. I want to need in 20 minutes from now. Now, so why couldn't the Eibishter make them simple? Just make, she doesn't need, I don't need her to need me, and everyone's happy. The answer is because they're going to never have a relationship. So everything, if you go deep into the shirish of the thing, everything...
Like them.
Huh?
We both need each other.
No, but in other words, if you're not going to have this balance, then you wouldn't have the relationship. We both have this...
It's like a woman that always need. We both need each other.
No, but then no one will be satisfied because you have two very needy people. They're not going to get anywhere. She needs to feel satisfied. She gets her needs fulfilled. My needs are just to have someone need me. So everything is good. Happens to me right now. I want to go play basketball. Just don't need me right now. But if you think deeper than that, you're right. I don't want to. I'll tell you somebody. A friend of mine once he had a friend who wasn't who was having some issues in Shalom Bayis and other problems. This guy's going to take him out. So he tells his wife that he's taking his friend out. Probably on about 11. So 11:01 his phone rings. 11:02 and he's getting embarrassed. Like what's he going to pick up? And he finally picks up. He says, "I'm still with the guy." Like he's all embarrassed. He's apologizing. The guy says, "Are you crazy? I wish my wife would care if I want to come home. If I wouldn't come home to 3 a.m, she still wouldn't call me. Halavai, she would call me." In other words, but the truth is, if you go to the shirish, that's what it is. The shirish is that the Eibush. So now, what does it mean, Shabara Usam, that the Eibush, the pasuk says, so Rashi brings down from the Medrash Haggadah, Shabara Shnei Partzufeim, that the Bria Rishona first there was a male, and we were attached that back to back with our wives. So Shnei Partzufeim, the front was the man, and the back was the wife. So now, this is, in other words, the yesod of the way the first bria was, that we were mamish created as one. Now, obviously, there's no mistakes. The Eibishter didn't do that as a mistake. So we spoke out one time that the Eibishter first set it up one way, then a different way, but we didn't explain why. The reason the Mefarshim explain is because the whole idea of marriage working is a nes, ba'atzam. The Gemara says that Ahimet Shunisa Achas came to one of the Tanam, and she says, you know what, the Eibishter made the world in 7 days. Okay. What's he been doing since then? It's been a long time, What's he been doing? So the Gemara says, he told him, Yoshiv u'mazavik zavugim. He's busy making shaduchim. So she said, that's something big? I can make shidduchim. You need the Eibishter to create the world. I got it. To make shidduchim, that's what you need the Eibishter. So she said to him that. So the Tana said back. Rabbi Greenfeld says back to her. Says, you think it's nothing. I think it's something big. So she wanted. She was errant. She wasn't looking to start up. She really wanted to know. So she went and she took 100 maid servants and 100 slaves, and she made shidduchim. And the Gemara says, didn't take long till one was missing an arm and one was missing a nose. They were mamish killing each other. So she comes back and she says, she's masking. She realized it's a big zach. Now what's pshat in the Gemara? Lamaisa, it's such a big deal to make shidduchim. I'm saying it's the biggest zach to make a shidduch. Of course it's a nice thing, but that's the biggest thing. There's so many shidduchim that are made that are made, in crazy ways. People knew nothing, and they made a shidduch. So what's pshat in the Gemara? And the answer is really because ba'atzam shidduch doesn't make any sense. To put a man and a lady together makes no sense at all. But the Eibishter is the one who's really mezavik zevugim. He makes it look like we're doing it. I could tell you a story. Well, I have a million such stories. I've heard millions of such stories. I'm assuming everyone here has heard some good stories. But I'll tell you one story that a guy told me. He was dating, and he was a counselor in a camp, and he had kids going from 10th grade to 11th grade, meaning finished 10th grade going to 11th grade, and this one of his campers called up the head counselor. He has a shidduch for him. The kids, one thing that was very important to him and his mother was they should get a nice family. He wanted a family, was very important. The kids, he gets this cousin Nebuch doesn't have a father. The father was nifter when he was nifter when this girl was an infant. The mother was not remarried, so it was just her and her mother. So it was not even Negeya. So he said right away, thank you, but no thank you. But Kitza, 2 weeks later, he gets a phone call from, they're also maskim. He's like, they're also maskim, what are you talking about? They said yes, the girl said yes. So he didn't know what to do. So he went to his Rosh Hashiva, and Rosh Hashiva is Shmuel Kamenetsky, and he went to his Rosh Hashiva, and he asked him, what should he do? So he told him, he said, listen, there's an almana, there's a yesayma. You have to be careful. Go out once or twice and drop her. It's not a big deal. You go out once or twice, you drop her. That's not a thing. Stam to say no if she thinks you said yes. The kids, they went out and obviously they got engaged. Now he came to this guy, this kid who's now in 11th grade. He asked him, what happened there? He says, no, I knew you said no, but my cousin had to get married, It wasn't like a mistake. He knew exactly what happened. He understood, and he went out anyway. And he told them that, he said, so the Avish, so what? Yeah. It wasn't like I misunderstood. No, I knew exactly what happened, and that's what I did. Anyway, the answer is because the Eibush is Mezavik Zavugim. He leads us to the right one. He's Mezavik Zavugim. So what the Mefarshim explain over here, the Eibush first created us as one guf in order for the ability for it to work. Because otherwise it's not possible for it to work. That means we're all created first as one guf, and the Eibush is really putting together one guf, two halves of a whole. That's what the Eibush is putting together. That's what the Zohar HaKadosh explains this, that when the Gemara says the Eibush is Mezavik Zavugim, doesn't mean he looks around, okay, this guy with this girl, I don't like, she's too short. You're not Mezavik Zavugim. Pshat is he takes one neshama, he takes one person, breaks it in half, puts this one in this guf and that one in that guf, and eventually he makes that somehow they should join together and come back to each other. So the Metzias is that a person, and Ramosha says this very clearly in the Tshuva, he talks about this, he says that when a person gets married, he says you have to understand, there's no such thing you made a mistake. This is who you were supposed to marry. Because the Eibush is the one that's Mezavik Zavugim. Now, why there's a parish of Gittin, that's a longer shmooze that doesn't belong over here. But there is such a thing. But it's not because it was a mistake. That's the way the Ramban and others are masbet. So upon him, so the Eibush does it, and everything has a cheshbon. The same way, I'll give you another example. The same way that we know when a baby is in the mother's womb, so the baby is learning Kala Kula, and before he leaves, the Malach does something and he forgets it. Right? That's the Chazal we know. So if he's going to forget it, what's shot in it? Well, what's the idea? What's the idea? To teach the baby the Torah and then he forgets it? What's the idea? So what the Mefarshim are explaining is very simple. That the Eibush, if I'm learning something for the first time, Torah is impossible for me to have a shaykhus to. So first I'm in the mother's womb, I learned everything already. So now when I'm learning it, it's not the first time I'm learning it. So even though right now I can't have it, I have to work for it, because that's the way the Eibush set up this world. I have to work for it. But Yagato Matzasa, why? Because now I can get it back from when I had it. In other words, it was already in me. I had a shaykhis to it. Now this is Gwada, a big sugya, maybe we'll get into it soon, a big sugya about inducing. So we asked Rabbi Yashiv one time about this, if somebody wants to, for convenience. We're not talking about for a tzarech. We're not talking about for somebody who the doctor says there's a chayli or there's a reason to do it. She's just like, enough is enough. Let's get this. Let's get on with life. Let's get this baby out. So Rabbi Yashiv said, you have to realize you're ripping this child away from his ability to finish whatever he has to do with the malach. The Eibishter has a set up time. Obviously they don't learn all day. I'm assuming they give some. Right. No, but it's not. But they don't. They must give him. Right. No, for real. You're making a joke out of it. He said, and just to add to it, it says Nashim b'mazach. And why are they zoicha to the next world? Because the hemtin lebaleim and to their children, they're moist nefesh for their children. So this is the first mysterious nefesh when they're carrying their baby around and they're being, they're being kicked around because the baby has a good kasha or whatever's going on there, and now they're being moist nefesh for the baby's Torah. So he said mitzad cheshbon. But we'll get back to it because it becomes negeya further. So al kapanim, so it means everything has a cheshbon. So the cheshbon, first we were one and we were split apart. However, Rashi says the pshuto shel mikra. How do you read it? Kan loidia shenivra shneim b'shishi v'loi pirish look, and it doesn't say ketzad barasan or pirish loch b'makam achar. Meaning, really, you could learn the pasuk pshat in the pasuk. It says that Zachar and Nekeva bara Yisam doesn't mean that he made them one guf. We're made separately, of course. The way it says later, Vayikach Metzalma, he takes from a bone from the man and creates the lady. But it means that they were both created on that day, and you look weiter in the chumash, you'll figure out exactly what these words mean. But whatever it is, whether we're created as one or it was etzem me'atzamai, and like the Gemara calls it, why does the man have to be the one to go court the lady? Why is the man go pick them up? I think even in America it didn't change yet, right? That the man goes and picks up the girl because it's derech ish lachser achar aveidasai. It's his lost object. She is his lost bone, his lost tzelem. I mean, it's neged to us also. It's not just that it was once. This is what's neged to us also, that the Eibishter created us etzem me'atzamai. Now, going weiter, v'yivarach oisam elikim v'yayim elikim pru uravu umeluas haaretz v'kivshua. That the Eibishter says pru uravu umeluas haaretz, and you should be kovish the haaretz v'yirdu b'dgei hayam u'ba'if hashamayim, that we should again rule over the doggy ayam ba'if hashamayim b'chol chayes aramemes al haaretz. So over here lies a major shaila. So first Rashi says v'kavshua chasavav l'lamed shezacha kovish es hanekeva shaloi tia yitzia nasa. Meaning that the man, this is that the man's supposed to rule over the lady. This is, you have to bring the ladies to the man's supposed to. You have to bring the ladies to the share. Huh? That it's supposed to be that the man is supposed to just rule over the lady. Va'oid lamcha sha'isha darka l'kovish mitzav al puravu v'lo isha. It's interesting that the isha, there's other pshatim afterwards. When we don't, for real, there's really other pshatim. I'm just not getting into it right now. The man is mechuyev in puravu, and the lady is not mechuyeves in puravu, which is an unbelievable thing that we need them in order to do the mitzvah. However, they're not mechuyev in the mitzvah. But before that, let's just go on this word v'kavshua. is, from here the Gemara learns that a lady is not allowed to wear a gun. A lady is not allowed to wear a gun. The Gemara in Sanhedrin learns from here. Oh, because of Lois Silbash. I don't know if they made pink guns in the time as the Gemara in Sanhedrin. I don't know how it worked. But, right, because it's a men's garment, and they go out to the army, and a lady's not. We're kovish this world, right? And that's why we're Mitzvah and Puriyavu, right? But we're kovish this world. That's right. This is the big shaila about women in the military. Exactly. This is where the shaila. This is the shaila. This is where it starts, and this is where they fight against it. And there's nafash teitzach. If there's a sakanas nafashas and there's no men to fight, a lady is allowed to fight. That's not. We're not talking about ein davar oimer b'fnei pekuach nafashas. We're not discussing that.
A lot of non-combat roles also. It's not like
no, so the question is, do they have to be in uniform? Do they have to be in uniform for that? So this is where the shaila began. This is where the shaila began, and this is where the shaila goes through. And from here,
they're in uniform. They operate the drone. They shoot missiles.
operate the drone.
So they can say a lady can't touch a drill or a stethoscope either. Why a gun?
Well, first of all, mechatesa doctors kivshuas kovish as haaretz. They conquer the land. They go out to machshava, right? That's why Parashat Zachar, the ladies don't have to do Parashat Zachar because they're not mitzvah and machshava. In other words, ladies weren't part of it. Now they did stay in the kitchen and cook. That's why some Rishonim want to say they did have to be part of it. There was other things that they could do, but this isn't again. This is where we learn out the whole list of Lois Silbash. So I was really asked a shaila by a lady who wants to wear a gun. I really got such a shaila if a lady is allowed to wear a gun, and she was saying today it's different. You're right. Maybe the first people who broke the rules, so they did something wrong. But today to tell me that it's only a man's thing, maybe that's how it was back in the time of Sheishi Mei Precious. But today, so Lamaisa in the din of Lois Silbash, things do go by the times. It is true that if, let's say, all men now would wear pink and all ladies would start wearing blue, there could be a Lois Silbash. I'm just saying the fact is a man can wear a pink tie if no man ever. You should know the fedora. The fedora was a lady actress in the 1800s. Her name was Fedora, and she wore one of those hats. And this is the makar for the fedora. This is how it started. She wore one of these hats, and then afterwards the first man that wore it was a cross-dresser, by the way. And then eventually the men took it over, and now maybe it'll be like now. I'm talking about on the way. But in other words, so these things do change. Lois Silbash does change based on this. The question is maybe if something that says clearly in the pasuk the kavshua doesn't change, right? The kavshua this would be also right. So, but I'm just saying. But this is where the shaila begins, and this is where the shaila goes. But the Gemara learns. In other words, if you're telling me that now she's part of the kavshua, so then she should have a mitzvah puravu. A lady doesn't have a mitzvah puravu. A lady has no mitzvah to have children. And I'm going to talk about it in Ramesh's tshuva in a second. But if you're saying that this changes, so then that should change also. Now, why wouldn't it change? Because even though be'etzem, the kavshua, even though be'etzem, something that's totally in Lois Silbash, for instance, cutting off, shaving certain, shaving his chest. So that, if you look at halacha, that's part of Lois Silbash. I'm just saying. So does that you want to say?
maybe at your turn.
You want to say that it changes? Now you know why I skipped today. That's why he changes. That could change. But something that says beferish in the pasuk, the kivshua could be that can't change. So could be you could say there's a chiluk between which things could change and which things cannot change. Now, Ramosha has a very interesting tshuva. Why is it that a lady? Why taka is it that a lady is not mitzvah in Puravu, and he says that the Eibishter would never ask us to do a mitzvah that's dangerous, be mitzvah us and mechayev us in a mitzvah that's associated with such pain and such tzar. Even though you have to know this pasuk is written before the Chet of the Eitz Hadas, right? Where it was before that it's vitel de bonim, which the klala came later that you have to have pain. But Vibalt, Ramosha discusses that, and the Mashachachma discusses that, but Vibalt, that this is something associated with pain and danger and hurt. So Mamela the Eibishter wouldn't be mechayev us. And going back to what we were talking about before about inducing early. So Ramosha says something which is really scary. The Gemara, the question is, why is a lady is not allowed to get induced? Ramosha says because you're not allowed to put yourself in sakana, which we are going to see over here. That's the halacha. One we were talking about on Shabbos also. One cannot put themselves in sakana. I'm not allowed to put myself in a matzah sakana. There's a war zone. You're not allowed to go into a war zone. You're not allowed to do something that's a matzah of sakana. So a lady can't get induced because she's putting herself into sakana. So the obvious question is, why is she allowed to ever become pregnant? If you can't put yourself in sakana, why are you allowed? It says we're Moshe Chiddush, which is a different world. He says that the Eibishter would never make somebody put themselves in sakana, and therefore, if it's the proper time that the Eibishter puts her into labor, or medically is forced, that she's forced to, then there's no sakana involved. That means a lady that decides, you know what, I want to induce myself, I want to get this out, she's putting herself in a matzah of sakana. But if not, she's not putting herself in a matzah of sakana. And this is really something that the ladies have to understand, because usually by the time the husbands come with the shaila, there's no reasoning anymore, and they basically tell me, listen, you want to tell, if you're telling me she can't, then I have to come sleep by you. That's usually the way the shaylas come, because they're not interested anymore. Don't. But if you think about this before, one time they're putting themselves in sakana, or am I saying one time they're not? So it's a davar chashuv. So but therefore the Eibishter would not. And this is stam a mussar. We have to realize if the Eibishter asks me to do a mitzvah, that means it's not something that's surrounded with tsar. It's not something that's surrounded with something that I can't do while I'm putting myself in sakana. Now, another thing which is an unbelievable chizuk over here, we all have a mitzvah, puravu. Now, the lady doesn't have the mitzvah. She's the one who has the pain. She can turn to you and say, listen, you have a mitzvah, so what do you want from me? I don't have a mitzvah. Go jump off a roof. It has nothing to do with me. And therefore, the Eibishter gives them such a love and such a ritzui and such a wanting to have a child in order to counteract that we should be able to do our mitzvah, which is also, you see how the Eibishter sets up the world, that this way we should be able to do our mitzvah, and therefore they don't have a chiyuv puravu, and we do have a chiyuv puravu. The Eibush continues the pasuk, Vayomer Elokim hine nasat lachem kol esev zera. I gave you all the grass, I gave you all the plants that could grow. Asher pnei kol haaretz ve'es kol ha'etz, all the trees. Asher boy pre-eitz zera lachem yiu. All that is lachem, and then the pasuk continues, lachem yiu la'achloi. From here, the Gemara learns out that Adam Rishon, before the Chet was, Adam Rishon was not allowed to eat meat. There was an Isser for Adam Rishon. Lachem la'achloi is here. The Gemara in Sanhedrin and Vav. Adam Rishon loy hoisa loy basar b'achilasoi loy hita loy basar b'achilasoi ela asavim v'ilanas. Only grass and trees. The chsiv lachem la'achloi thing. And this is going to be a very big kasha on the Yalkut that we're going to say. I don't know if we'll get to it today, but there's a Yalkut that says that when Adam was living in Gan Eden, the malachim with soilum loy basar. What is that supposed to mean? He wasn't allowed to eat meat. So from at this point, Adam Rishon is not allowed to eat meat before that. And the pasuk says, "Vayar lekim ki toiv." 1 second, let me just see if it. Right now, stamazoi, there are people that try to come from here and say that hashkafically it's really wrong to eat meat. They have all these vegetarians, and it's 100%, 1,000% wrong. You look in the Rambam, we have a chiyuv to eat meat. I once got a call from somebody that he was a Rebbe, and one of the boys in his class, one of the bachar in his class, told him that his mother doesn't let him eat meat. She's a vegetarian. So al pi halacha, it's not so pashut at all, because there's a chiyuv simchas yantiv to eat basar v'yayin. There's other times. Who said she has the right to come up with this meshagah? So to say that from here you see, from this idea that you see that it's better not to eat meat, there's no such thing at all. And adrabah, there are rayas throughout Shas and the Poskim that there's a chiyuv to eat meat, and karbanis were from meat. Right now, at this point, when Adam Rishon is still Kaidam Achet and he's in Gan Eden, and you should know bread grew. It says clearly, it didn't grow wheat. Bread grew straight. In other words, everything was ready for him. He had what to eat, but at that point, basar was asar, and there's nothing to do with us. So vayar alakim ki tov, and v'hine tov ma'od vayar vayivoker yom hashishi. So this yom hashishi really is this is what I thought I was going to get to today when I said it's very appropriate for the Svira, because this is what we'll say the Rashi this time, and we'll get back to it next time, that the Rashi says Hoisef Hey Bashishi, and the gemara Ma'aseh Bereishis, when the Eibishter finished, he just finished creating this world, and he added a Hey Loimar Shehusni Imayim Al Manas Sheyakabla Aleim the Yisrael Chamisha Chamshe Torah. The whole creation is with the stipulation that we're makabel the Torah. And if we're not makabel the Torah, then the world ceases to exist. T'nai husna kadosh baruch hu b'ma'aseh bereishis. That if there's 1 second that there's no Torah, the whole world just ends in 1 second. And it's very interesting that that's why the Eibishter made different time zones. Because if you have different time zones, it's much more probable that you're going to have somebody learning at all times. If you have one time zone, then it's going to be much harder. The Eibishter could have made everyone on one time zone, but like this, there's always people learning. And my father was very close with Rav Neishla Zeichet Tzadik L'Rach. Shima Shmim was very close. Rav Neishla was he called himself the Sadeh Hel Dayan because he was from Sadeh Hel, but he was a Dayan in Skver for the last, to the last 40, 50 years of his life. And he was a very chashav yid. And before the war, him and his brother used to learn all Friday from beginning to end. Straight they used to learn, because they said to so many people not learning, that somebody has to hold up the world. And after the war, it's a whole long story I'm not getting into now, but after the war, they both didn't know that the other one was alive, and Lamais, they were both alive. And his brother found him one day in the middle of the week, and he was sitting and learning. He looks up at him, he says, Han, in der Welt, yeah, the Tug is Freitag. Every day in this world is Friday because there's no one learning. And he didn't even talk to his brother. After the war, after both being saved, he didn't want to talk to him. They had to keep the world going. So the idea of the creation, just to get back to what we started with, Adam is not just created stam. We're created to learn Torah. It was a T'nai Husna of Ma'aseh Bereishis. And if we're going to makabel Torah, if not, the whole world will go back. Davaracha Yom Hashishi, that everything is totally in Yom HaShishi. What's that? The Shishi B'Sivan, that we're getting the Torah. That's a gemara in Shabbos Peiches. That everything is totally in that one day. That I'm creating it now, but this is all with the T'nai that we're going to makabel the Torah on Vav Sivan, which is Shavuos. So it's not just stam that we're created and the Eibishter made a bria and he gave us a beautiful world. The idea was that we should la'avdil sharma, we should sit and learn, and we'll get back into it next time. So what I wanted to talk about, what is the chiyuv of a person? in shtadlus as opposed to learning, meaning we don't even think about it, most people, because we're just living and we go on. But really, from here you see the whole beautiful creation was for one thing, that we should get the Torah and we should learn the Torah. Obviously the mitzvahs, obviously everything else. And that's what it means, nashim b'mazachin. They can't get to Olamah because the tafkid of this world is one thing, Torah, and which again is very appropriate. And Mitzvah, next week we'll pick it up from here and we'll get into Rav Dessler has a beautiful shtickle on understanding what the chiyuv of a shtadlus and where what the chiyuv is. Obviously for every person different, and obviously it's a person who can learn. We're not talking about somebody who can't learn, we're talking about somebody who could. But he goes through it very nicely, and Mitzvah we'll get back to it next time.